Rodriguez, the Jagger wants it back. He gets it back and leads it through for Holtby. Oh, it's off the line. It's off the line.
So, George, it's been a while since we've done one of these. A lot has happened over the last couple of weeks, and let's delve right into it. And I think we should start off with the meltdown that's currently going on at Chelsea. And what do you think about what Frank's doing at the club? Do you see do you see this as a huge crisis that the media is making it out to be, or does he just need more time?
Um, I would still back Frank regardless of what's happening right now. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I think Arteta is probably the best argument for that. Obviously, he hasn't proven himself yet, but he's at least mounting a resurgence, and I think Chelsea can do that with Frank, because he embodies the club's values and he can really motivate the players. And he still, I think the problem is that he doesn't have any tactical experience to fall back on. And this is what's hurting him now. And he's almost learning on the job. So a lot of managers, when they come to big clubs, they have a lot of managerial technical expertise. And this lack of technical expertise is why Frank has the lowest points per game in the history of Chelsea managers in the Premier League. And can he change from that? Yeah, definitely. I think that if Chelsea stick with him long enough, he probably will change it up. But it's a question of whether they can afford to. With so Yeah, I think it's alarming definitely to see them like this. I think if you're a Chelsea fan, you wouldn't want to see this. But will this hamper anything in the long run? Maybe not. I think this is just something that the club and Frank has to go through.
And speaking about the club, though, Chelsea has the reputation of kicking managers to the curbs when things aren't going their way. If they do that with Frank this time around, I don't think like the fans are going to be backing the next manager. I mean, they might probably back the next manager, but it's going to be uh, there's going to be tensions high at Stamford Bridge for sure. Um,
Yeah, I think that was one of the double-edged swords that you get when you sign Frank Lampard. You it's very difficult to part ways with him because he's a club legend, and you want to support him and you want him to be successful, but it might not come out the way you want it to, or it might not come out the way you want it to in the time frame that you're expecting. So it's a bit of a predicament. But yeah, I'm just looking at their results. They've lost one, two. They haven't won a game in their 6 last Premier League matches. They've only won one game. And that was a game against West Ham, which the scoreline doesn't really, predict what really happened, or depict what really happened. Sorry. So yeah, as in from a Chelsea club form perspective, it's not looking good. They have a game. I think their next match is against Fulham, so maybe they can get some confidence from there. But yeah, I would back Frank if I was a Chelsea fan. I would still give him more time.
what I find more worrying than anything else is the fact that the team doesn't look like they have any sort of personality or they even know what they're trying to do. And that has to stem from the fact that they just brought in too many players. You can't just bring in a bunch of new players and expect uh, everything to work and everyone to fit the system. We were talking about this just before we started recording that did they even really scout Warner and see if he would fit into their system? Because he looks like a shell of the player that he was at Leipzig, being wasted on the left, and he was told to play through the middle against City. And against City as well, he couldn't muster up any chances, or he wasn't. I think Warner misses a lot of really easy chances, and he has been all throughout the season. So that should be something to be worried about. how
Yeah,
do they overcome that problem? Because you need they need to build this team from almost the ground up again.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's weird. It really is. It's like they didn't sign the players that fit the system, and the players that they signed aren't perform. They haven't hit form, and regardless, so like regardless of what system you play in, there is like form. There's a form factor to this as well, and Werner clearly hasn't found that because he's missing sitters, and there's a lot of his confidence is really low. So it's both of these problems hitting Chelsea at the same time. So and yeah, as in it was really poor recruitment. I think it was they had a lot of money because they had a transfer ban, and in a market where no one's really buying anything, they just went out and tried to get the hottest talent, and yeah, it hasn't really worked out. Thiago Silva is probably their best signing, and it's ironic because he was their cheapest. So yeah, it's it's weird. Like we just have to wait and see. The problem is about waiting and seeing is that if you say you're someone like a Klopp, a Pep Guardiola, or a Jose Mourinho, there's so much of technical expertise and managerial experience that you can bring to be able to transform this team. Now, Lampard has to use all his wit, all his IQ to try and find a solution to this problem of having all of these different players, which he hasn't so far. So
And okay, the new players coming in, they take time to adjust, especially the Premier League. It's hard for them to do it. I just want to highlight like their experienced players, and really, N'Golo Kante is he doesn't look like himself. He's had a very poor game against City, and even the game before that. He is losing the ball out. He doesn't look sure in his attempts anymore, and I think that stems from the fact that the whole team's not just the confidence. They don't have an identity. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing on the ball, and that has to go back to Frank as a manager, because he sets them up from training. They come up with a game plan, and if he doesn't have the managerial prowess to bring this band of players together and give them their identity, and with Chelsea being trigger happy with managers, I personally don't see him lasting too long. Even if he can turn this around, uh, I don't think he's the man to get them back to winning Premier League titles.
yeah, yeah, it's a much difficult job being a manager. I remember there was a tweet recently which said that the worst thing about modern football is ex-players becoming managers of big teams. And like there's some truth in that because it's so much more difficult than they might seem. They might think because you get the job not because of your CV. You get the job because you have like club legend status, not because of your managerial CV. And I feel that's a problem. I don't want Steven Gerrard to come anywhere near being the manager of Liverpool anytime soon. I hope it's at least another 10, 15 years so he gets that many more years of managerial experience before he takes on a big team. I feel that's where Chelsea went wrong by getting Frank. Frank can probably turn it around. He's a smart guy. He has apparently one of the highest IQs. Um, I forgot what the reference was, but he's a smart guy basically. But yeah, I'm sure he can turn it around. But whether Abramovich and the board can wait that long, and even the fans can they also wait that long? It's